It's 6:05. I think it's time for us to dive in and get going. And as folks show up, they can play catch up with us. So let me welcome everybody to NJASL's Information Literacy Legislation Q&A and InfoLit Lesson Swap Meet. So thank you all for being here. And our president, Eva Elliott's going to say a couple of words and then we'll dive right in.
Yes, thank you, Steve. So thank you everyone for being here tonight. I know everybody's tired. We had a long day and it feels like long school year. I know that our team that put together this professional development for everyone is going to do absolutely fantastic job. The slides that I'm seeing are really, really impressive. So I will hang in the background and will be listening to your conversation, but I really wanted to highlight the work of those who put together this presentation to for you to see. So it looks fantastic and I can't wait to hear it. Thank you.
All right, so we are going to start with some information and then we'll get to questions if there are questions. And we're gonna have that information shared with us by our awesome team that has been working on this stuff for a while and putting together some great presentations. If you were at our April 1st event, you may have seen them share some of this, which is awesome. So we're going to have Beth Thomas, Tristina Beebe, and Mary Moyer are going to be sharing some information. So if y'all want, let me see if I can. Yeah, all right. I'm going to make each of you a co-host so that I think that'll let you, I don't know if that'll let you, we'll see. I'm going to make you a co-host and then you'll have some controls.
Slide. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fine too. Let me just do that. Okay, great. So here we go. So take it away. Oh, no, sorry, this is me. So we're going to be doing some information. We'll do a Q&A after it, and then we're going to have a swap meet, and NJASL swap meets are a chance for everybody to share resources and ideas, and you're invited to add resources to the slides. I sent the link, an editable link to everyone that signed up, so you can dive in, find a blank slide, throw your information on there. And basically, we're going to kick it off with NJASL sharing out, and then we'll invite other people to join on as we go. And I think that's pretty much how we're going to go. So I think that's you, ladies.
Okay, great. Thank you, Steve. So the Information Literacy Standard was passed by, signed into legislation by Governor Murphy on January 4th. And it is defined as a set of skills that enables an individual to recognize when information is needed and to locate, evaluate, and use the needed information effectively. And information literacy encompasses all these different types of literacy that we hear about. Next slide. And in the bill text, the content that will get covered with information literacy includes these different aspects. And you'll find that today, as we share some of the lessons that we do, they cover many of the aspects that are here. And we just want to say, I've been a school librarian since 2001. So I've been doing this a long time. And this is not, us saying, you should be implementing all of these lessons, all at one time. This is really just, kind of a sharing of different ideas. And we're hoping to hear from, members, people on this call, what they do as well. But, it's been years of developing, the curriculum that we work with. And, we understand that, some people are brand new to the role of school librarian, or perhaps you don't have a school librarian in your school and your administrators are looking to you to implement these standards. We just want to, put it out there that, we're just sharing. And, if you have any questions or any concerns as we're sharing our information, feel free to put them in the chat or raise your hand. All right, next slide, Steve. All right, and then Tristina is going to explain the model curriculum that NJASL is working on.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I know on that last slide, if you wanted to click on the link that actually gives you to our direct bill so to look at it a little bit more thoroughly, we did pull over some information from it. Thank you, Steve. So you can kind of take a look at it, and that it gives you a little bit more of a broader understanding of everything that will be going into the development.
And just as a reminder, all of these links are in the slides. So, you can take your time later on to go through them. We're just going to kind of point some stuff out right now so that we don't have deep.
Yeah, and I don't know that a lot of people have actually been able to see the final version. So thank you for that. So we are using, Lisa Mangella. She's been an excellent resource for us at the high school level. Last night we were on a meeting with her, and her school system has really developed a really sound program where there is a lot of collaboration. So there is a link to the South Brunswick School District's model curriculum that we are following. Lisa was also interviewed earlier in the year for some of our publicity, some of our coverage. But I love that this part of the model curriculum encourages the collaboration of the Library Media Center as a central resource to support the classroom instruction. And she speaks about how she consults with and works in all different content areas in order to have that library program, ensuring that all students will develop those critical information literacy skills. So there's some rationale. It would be a really great resource if anyone wants to utilize that or kind of look over. I know a lot of school librarians have reached out about starting to create their curriculum in their own districts. So this is going to be one of our main resources, especially aligned with the school librarian within a school district in order to finalize how they can incorporate it on a regular basis and with scheduling. Those have been some of the main questions. If you're writing curriculum, we just want to ensure that your school district and your school is aware of your position and your critical role with your degree, ensuring that you will be at the forefront of that decision making, and also encouraging you to put your name, your title in that language when you do create your curriculum. And moving on with our path to the standard, we had a lot of support for this 2016 NJLA and NJASL, the school libraries programs and NJ. We worked together to draft the initial bill. NJLA actually did draft that initial bill. We do have our document that you'll see at the final draft and the pathway to this. Two bills were in action: information literacy and the ratio bill. We have lots of documentation, the Vail document, joint articles that have been written. We continue to write articles and op-ed pieces that you'll be able to see. We have a list of documents. And we did create the Unlock Student Potential website. That was a really key website also during COVID, where we were able to contact librarians. We were able to offer out information to school districts, to admins, to parents. So that was really great opportunity for us to kind of get started with our information literacy as a priority, and also share out the many ways that we offer that out to students during that time frame. Some of our NJASL efforts, we had originally created an NJLA NJASL task force that did work up until the early parts of 2020. In about 2018 is when there was an approach to create an advocacy chair, which now has led to an advocacy team. I'm always looking for additional help, or if there's anyone of interest, or if there's something that you're passionate about, feel free to contact me for that. But that's been a really helpful tool in all of this. Every library has been a spectacular comrade of ours. Beth could speak to that. Our safeschoollibrarians.org petitions, building partnerships with stakeholders. There's so many to mention. We have continue to align with a lot of stakeholders throughout the state, and now at the national level. We did receive bipartisan support that we're really proud of. We are an unbiased profession, so it's important for us to recognize that when it's coming to information sorting, that we are working towards that. NJEA has been very supportive. Virtual legislative test sessions, our testimony that we continue to supply both at the Assembly and Senate Education Committee meetings, op-ed pieces, revisions that we worked on in 2022, worked with the governor's action, and our membership, which has been our call to action. Our membership has really been key in this, and also our secret weapon, which is Mary Moyer. And Mary, I don't know if you wanted to speak to this slide with our NJASL efforts and any of the efforts that will be upcoming.
Thank you tonight for a chance to speak to everyone. On Monday, our latest action is we launched a survey that will go to all the primary candidates, all the candidates for the primary election in June. And we are hoping to solicit some opinions from them about school libraries. So look for some results from that survey about the primary candidates or the candidates for the primary election.
Wonderful. Thank you, Barry. Also, we wanted to prepare that our NJASL members and also stakeholders throughout the state, teachers and members of any organization or even as citizens could be looking to speak when we prepare to offer statements for our information literacy standards. So there will be 3 locations and we will be able to discuss that at public hearings. So once we have those dates and times, we will be sending that out to membership as well. I know, Mary, I didn't know if you wanted to speak to our ELA standards. We did recently comment on those as well.
Yes, the ELA standards are up for revision, and NJASL has made some minor recommendations, and we will be sharing the testimony that was submitted on behalf of NJASL with the membership shortly.
Thank you, Mary. On this slide, we have a link to Governor Murphy's press release about the legislation, and we have a link to a document that Mary created that gives a historical view of the bill progression, and the QR code takes you to an infographic that explains the same information in more of a visual type of way. You can go to the next slide, Steve. So the next steps are working with the Department of Education to create the standards. Eva put a call out to NJASL members to submit resumes, those who are interested in working on this. And I know that the DOE is going through those resumes now and will be in touch. We'll be continuing to work with other education groups, continuing to solicit and engage stakeholders, because as Trisina mentioned, there will be 3 public hearings on the standards in North, Central, and Southern New Jersey. And we really want to make sure that we have members and supporters of the legislation signing up to attend and speak at those meetings. So when the call goes out for that, please, make sure you sign up. We will provide, speaking points if you need them. And we just want to get the message out that, this is a positive thing, that we are looking to create critical thinkers within our students. We want them to be information literate digital citizens. And we just want to get that word out there. And after that, it goes to the State Board of Education to approve, and then implementation would start in 2024. All right, next slide.
Awesome. Thank you, Beth. I just wanted to share out with our members on the call and any other affiliates that we are creating and developing sharing tools for our school library media specialists to share out with your district, with your school reps, with your parents. So right off the bat, we have created 2 infographics. They are linkable here. If you needed any type of, definite link to them, please send me an email. We would be more than happy to share them with you. We realize that we have received a lot of outreach from some of our school librarians that are overwhelmed in their position. So we are still working to make sure that you have all the credible information to bring back to your school districts, along with our, our PD throughout the year. So I just wanted to let you know that we are in the works with a lot more than just our infographics, as well as, this share deck that will be available to you. So this is Steve.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think we're going to pause at the moment and ask if anybody's got any questions they want to address to our experts on our InfoLit information so far. And we'll give folks a chance to, if you want to throw them in the chat, I can read them. Or if you want to raise your hand, we can recognize you. You can share it with the group. So let's take a sec and see if anybody's got any questions.
Or feel free to unmute or raise your hand, whatever is best.
Absolutely. So while folks are getting their questions together, we're going to give everybody a time to gather their thoughts. So what we'll do is once we get questions and answers, we'll go into sharing lessons, and what's going to happen after, which will probably be tomorrow or Friday, depending on how much time I can find. But you'll get an email with a link to a quiz about the event and feedback form, and a link to the slides so that you'll have those to be referenced to. And when you complete the form, you'll get a certificate from NJASL for 1 hour PD. So if you were here, you will get PD credit. So yay. So let's pause one more time if anybody's got any questions. You are always welcome to also send questions if you think of something later. So, don't feel like if you don't ask now, you'll never get to ask. One last call, just in case. Not seeing anything in chat. Oh, so Yasmin, all of that is going to be it's in the slide deck that was shared. So if you go into the invite email you got, there's a link to the slide deck, and all that information that we just saw are the first sets of slides that are in there. And Amy's wondering, how will this impact the model curriculum?
That's a good question. I think that possibly we may have to tweak it, but until we see what the working group with the Department of Ed comes up with, I don't know that we have a real good answer to that question. But we did share the model curriculum and all of our documents with the Department of Ed. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting scheduled sometime in May to discuss information literacy with the Department of Ed, to make sure that we have the same definition and talking points for information literacy. So we'll make sure that once those joint talking points are created, if there is tweaks that need to be made to the model curriculum, that can happen at that time.
And would it be fair to say too that the idea is, since it's information literacy that we're working on and the lessons were focused on information literacy, hopefully there's not a lot of adjustment that's going to be needed, because they're going to hopefully, the lessons are going to address hopefully the issues that are going to be addressed with the standards. So
right, and each school district will adapt that curriculum or as needed. Each district writes their own curriculum. The state provides the standards, but each district would write their own curriculum. So even within the state, that model curriculum will be possibly adopted differently for different school districts.
And I wanted to call out Andrea. She's on the call. I just gave her a little side text. She works with Lisa M, which was one of the model curriculums with. She works with the Professional Outreach Committee, and she co-chairs that with Lisa M. So she had said she would be willing to discuss a little bit of an overview of what they've discussed and how they've worked out information literacy.
Right. So, from the Rutgers grad program, there's the bus tour, which we're just a little side note. We are going to remove the bus from it because it's very confusing, and because there's no actual bus, and it makes a lot of people disappointed. There's no bus tour to go on. It's just a tour of libraries. So, so we're expanding on that. The bus tour, for anybody who's on here that might not know, is a tour of school libraries that happens in October, and it's a nice way for grad students to go and see what different school libraries look like at different levels. It also has been nice to have other veteran librarians jump on the tour and getting to see what other schools are doing to get ideas and to brainstorm together. From there, we thought it would be a great idea to expand that to include the public library sector, so that students who might be interested in the public library can check those out, but also to show the collaborations between public libraries and school libraries and the importance of those two connections and relationships because of resources and just for so many things to build community outreach. So it's a great connection to have. So that's what we're looking to do there. We're also going to try to bring on the principals and supervisors and curriculum directors, curriculum writers, to bring them onto the tour, to invite them in, to open up our doors so that everybody can see what's going on. And they can see a whole variety of what schools are looking like from all different levels, whether they be extremely well-versed in information literacy to new programs, and just to see what the vibe is and to really get a hands-on and just being in the doors and seeing what the school libraries actually look like is really important and really helps principals especially administration see what it's going on, which is really nice. Really open things up. Also to include special libraries as well, because that's an important one.
Excellent. Thank you so much for
You're
being
very
able
welcome.
to talk to that, because I thought that was a really key point of what we will be doing with professional outreach. So thank you for that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sorry, taking a quick note there. All right, so yeah, let's get into what we've got for lessons. So if you hadn't gotten the chance to see, there are blank lessons that look like this, or blank slides rather, that look like this. So if you want to throw in something at a later point, you can, but basically it's got a space for what do you call your lesson and what grades is it for, since we've got a lot of different levels that might be here. And then if you want to include your name in your school, you can. It's not a requirement, but hey, why not? Take credit for your work. And then description or links or whatever else you might want to include. So since I am the host, I figure it's only fair for me to kick things off. So I have got a whole folder full of lessons that people are welcome to dive into here. It's from a class that I wrote called Argument and Debate, which I wrote as an ELA teacher, but I wrote it with school library in mind. Literally, it was the thing I was doing at the time. So I made it into basically, it's sort of a secret library skills class. It's all about research and citation and thinking about sources, all the things that we value as information literacy. So whoops, did I not put the link in? Oh yeah, I did. There it is. So the link that is here, that is in the slides that are shared, the link goes to a presentation that's meant for teachers rather than for students, but it gives you sort of an overview of what the lessons are like and what they're about. And if you're looking to talk to faculty or administrators about information literacy, this might be a way to sort of give a quick overview. So let's just, so you can get a sense of it. For folks who are maybe new to information literacy, it's maybe a good idea to introduce them to what that might look like. So we often think of information literacy as being about text, but it doesn't have to just be about text. There's so many other kinds of information that we are exposed to. So here's a map. Obviously, it's the United States, but what is it supposed to represent? Let's see if I can throw this into slideshow mode so that I can use the fanciness that I built in here. Anybody want to take a guess? All right, Nicole says how fast information travels. Okay. Interesting guess. Cell coverage. Okay. These are very good guesses. Weather related.
Sealed, so it makes me think weather. I'd have to search that URL.
It does say weathersealed.com in the background. It's got, they branded their stuff. Population density, interesting. Okay. And certainly like population density, if I take what I know about the US and I try and overlay it onto a map of the US, very interesting, right? So all of these are good guesses. So here's what it actually is. The contiguous United States visualized by distance to the nearest McDonald's. Now, just that piece of information is kind of fun and interesting, but then we can go a little further and say, well, what does that tell us? Because knowing that these heat spots are closer and closer and closer to McDonald's, and knowing what we know about population and population density, and especially if we start looking at, we could layer in some other kinds of maps on top of this that might include states, might include geographic features, might include socioeconomic conditions. We might start to learn some interesting information. So sometimes visual information can be a great way to share what we're talking about. This one I love too. So this is a word map of word cloud of all of the words in Romeo and Juliet. Now, a lot of us may know what Romeo and Juliet's basically about, but when we know that a word cloud takes the words that come up the most and makes them the largest, and that the words get smaller and smaller as they are used less and less, I think we can start to draw some conclusions about Romeo and Juliet. Do you notice that we've got Romeo is literally the largest word in the entire word cloud, right? So clearly he's pretty important, but his name is also here. Why is his name in two places on this word cloud? Andrew says, as usual, sexist. I'm not going to disagree with that. So it's a play, yes. So Beth Rass says it's a play, right? So when it's all cap letters for a character's name, what does that mean? They speak dialogue. So we know that Romeo talks the most in this play. And we know that Romeo is talked about a pretty good amount. And we've kind of got to go hunting. Here's Juliet in all caps. Notice that her all caps dialogue is about the same size as how much Romeo is talked about, period, in the whole play. And we can find Juliet in here again. She's over here. And again, smaller. So she's talked about, but not nearly as much as Romeo. And we can start to draw some conclusions about what the play might be doing or trying to say with the characters in this way. So we can take a set of information and parse it in a different way. Instead of just looking at the text of the play, we can look at a word cloud of the text and start making some conclusions, right? So there's a whole bunch of these I love. I'm going to show you one. Oops. I'm going to show you one more because it's one that I really like that used to really confuse me. So this one, gun deaths in Florida, right? So we've got this chart, gun deaths in Florida, and the source of the information is the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. And because they have labeled a specific part here, we've got years down here, they've labeled a specific part. 2005, Florida enacted its Stand Your Ground Law. Stand Your Ground Law basically says if you feel threatened in Florida, you're allowed to shoot to kill the person who is making you feel threatened. So when we look at this chart, what is it telling us about what happened after the Stand Your Ground Law was passed?
This graph is confusing to me because usually the lower number's at the bottom and it goes up.
Okay, so you caught the trick, right? So if we look at the axis of this graph, usually we would have 0 at the bottom. We would have high number at the top. And if that was the case, then this looks like it's saying that the number of gun deaths dropped after Stand Your Ground Law was passed. But the axis is upside down. So actually, it's telling us that the number of gun deaths went way up, that they were dropping pretty much until they passed that law, and then they went way back up. So the first time I saw this, I was told and I understood it to be that the Florida Department of Law Enforcement were the ones that put out this chart, and that they had purposely reversed the axis as a way to make it look like this law was more effective than it really was. But in doing a little more research, I actually found out that this chart was created by a reporter who was trying to literally paint a picture of blood dripping down, and that was why she reversed the axis, so that the red that she was using for the fill-in would look like this, dripping down blood. So we've got to think not only about what's the information and where's it from, but what media or what channel is it coming to us through? Because that can affect how we're seeing it or what it's supposed to mean, right? So there's lots of these kinds of things that we can play around with. Obviously, I literally spent an hour doing a presentation on this last week, so we're not going to take an hour on this. I just wanted to give you the quick highlights, but I'm going to argue that after reading and math, information literacy is probably the most important skill we can teach students these days. If we click through a little more, I'm going to skip all of that stuff because you can check it out later on your own if you want. But if you click far enough into here, there is a link, I swear, in here somewhere to, whoops, did I just pass it? No. Here we go, to all of the lessons. So there's 37 lessons for this class, slide decks with supporting materials. And there's also some additional stuff that used to be part of the class because I taught it a whole bunch over a couple of years and ended up throwing some stuff out, changing some stuff, rearranging. So when I got to the end point, I feel like it flowed pretty well, but I also had some leftover stuff that became a enrichment section. So if I ended up having an extra day at the end of the marketing period, I would say, pick one of these, gang, see which one you like. You can borrow whichever ones you want. You're going to be able to make copies of any of the stuff and edit them however works for you. The last time I checked them, they were all working just fine. I didn't check them. I haven't checked them recently, but everything was working before. So that's all there. We're not going to check a few out right now. So let me just get out of this. But that is all in there. Sorry.
I have to say, just real fun fact is when we first got our slide share, compliments of Steve, I saw that one slide and I thought, oh, he must have accidentally put this here. so much information until you just explained that, because I was like, I don't know that this is relevant. And then I realized these are all your documents. So we have a plethora of information from Steve. Thank you so much. When I first saw it, it was a wow, or whatever the chat message was for sure. So this is wonderful.
Oh,
Thank
my
you.
pleasure. And, you know, it's some of it might work for you and some of it might not. A lot of it works as individual pieces. So you can play with it and figure out what works for you, but that's there. So that was something that I tossed in. And then we've got some other great resources too. So I'm going to get off the stage and I'm going to give the mic over to our other wonderful folks. So Beth, do you want to tell us a little bit?
Sure. I want to echo Beth Raff. Wowee. That was what a gift, Steve. Thank you for all the work that went into that, curating all of those lessons. I can't wait to dig in and use some of them myself. So thank you. So I am a library media specialist in Summit, New Jersey, grades 6 to 8. And I am very fortunate in that I have a co-librarian, which I know is very rare for a middle school. And so we are able to accomplish a lot because of that. And we really strive to get every core content area in every grade to visit the library for research experiences, so we can build on concepts and skills from project to project and from grade to grade. We are flexibly scheduled, so we work in collaboration with the teachers to embed information literacy lessons into the curriculum. And we really strive for consistency because, we have a team approach, and the kids who are on team A in 6th grade are not on team A in 7th grade. So we really try to drive home the idea that we need to have consistency across all the different teams in each grade level. And we do have some teachers who value what we do and bring their students in without even being asked. And then there are others that we do have to kind of cajole. And we also had a lot of administrative turnover. Not so long ago, luckily, knock on wood, we've been stable for a few years. It's really great administrators. But every time we had a new administrator come in, it was having to advocate for our program and explain what it is that we do and why the collaboration is so important. So you can go to the next slide, Steve. So what we do, we teach students how to do research note-taking, and we use the Cornell note-taking method, and that link will take you to my Google Drive folder that has PDFs so that you can, use them yourself. We actually, we have them printed out, we have them available for our students, and we still have them handwrite their notes. Because studies have shown that writing the information, you retain it better. We did make a digital note sheet during COVID because we had to. Everybody was afraid of, passing out paper and everything. And I'll say that the copy and pasting was just rampant. It definitely wasn't the same experience as having the students write their notes. So we, as you can see, the Cornell note sheet has a spot for a citation at the top. So students are giving credit to their source. There's a keyword column. We do teach students about, developing strong keywords when it comes to searching and note-taking. And then we tell them that they need to take their notes. We call it caveman language. Basically, if you read your notes out loud, you should sound like a caveman because cavemen did not speak in full sentences. So we try to discourage them from copying word for word. And there is a spot for reflection at the bottom, and we'll often do that as an exit activity. We don't have students do it on every single note sheet that they use, but we'll make it an exit activity, and they do struggle with the concept of reflection. We tell them you're not just regurgitating your facts, you're reacting to what you've learned, you're reacting to the research process that you experienced, but we definitely try to get them to, expand a little bit when it comes to their reflection. And we do grade them. We don't have a library grade because we're not a cycle course. We are, we're flexibly scheduled. So we will offer to grade the note sheets, and The teachers will make it part of their project rubric, and they'll incorporate the grade into the overall subject area grade. And you can go to the next slide.
Before I do, I just want to point out that Eva is saying this is a fantastic example. Even academic instructors overuse essays as exit assessments. This kind of chart that information literacy librarians and academic institutions would recommend to use instead. So this is a great way to bring in some other ways of thinking about information.
Great. And we use LibGuides to curate resources for projects. We've been using them for a few years. They're relatively reasonable. I will say that we are fortunate to have a good budget. Not every school library does. But if you don't have the budget for a LibGuide, you can still access the LibGuide community, where people who've made their LibGuides public, you can see what they've created, and then you could adapt it to a hyperdoc or whatever maybe doesn't cost a subscription. But the great thing about the LibGuides is that you are able to, include links, but you can also embed video, upload files, and you can reuse, boxes that you used in other LibGuides. If users have made their LibGuides public, you can duplicate it. And we've had people who do that as well with ours, but our students, they know from the very beginning that if there's a research project, you're going to be using a LibGuide to access resources. And what else was I going to say about LibGuides? I love them. And, I know there are many different curation tools, but LibGuides is something I find very user-friendly. And the link will take you to a list of our LibGuides. All right, you can go to the next slide. So I'm going to give some examples of lessons that we do with our different grades and departments. The first project our middle schoolers experience when they come into the middle school after their orientation is with their social studies classes. They research modern day countries that are part of what was the Fertile Crescent. And we, introduce them to, we use the Big Six research process. And so this is the first time they're hearing about that. And so there's an introduction called the Super 3, which is plan, do, review. We want our students to be mindful that, research is a process, and there are different steps involved, and we kind of explain what that looks like when they're down for their first day. We teach them about note-taking. It's their first time using the note sheets. And we also show them how to use our databases, introduce them to the LibGuides. It's a lot packed into 3 days, but they're new to the school, and they're new to coming down with their classes for research. In elementary schools in our district, they're fixed schedule, so their teachers drop them off. So it's kind of a different experience. So we're very fortunate that the social studies department was willing to be the one to bring the students down for that research experience. And I have links to the LibGuides for each of the lessons I'm talking about, and also the slideshows that we have for our lessons each day. We also use Pear Deck a lot. Pear Deck is phenomenal for increasing student participation. You're not just always calling on the same kid every time. Everybody has to respond. We explain to them that the data from the Pear Deck responses can be downloaded and shared with teachers. So you want to be participating. And so highly recommend Pear Deck as a resource if your district is able to get it. All right, and go to the next slide. Then they come in for ecosystems research in the spring with their science classes. We just wrapped up. I'm exhausted. We had all the 6th grade classes in for the past few weeks. And we start off that particular experience with a lesson about databases versus the free web. We kind of put a scenario where they, their dog is sick and their vet has, can't figure out what's going on, has 2 choices, search a medical database that have articles written by veterinarians and other, medical professionals and scientists, or, search and, use Wikipedia for their diagnosis. And, we explain that Wikipedia is not always a terrible resource, but as 6th grade researchers, they don't necessarily have the background knowledge yet to say, oh yeah, that person's an expert on such and such topic. So we start off with that. And we also, it's, like some people have, thoughts about the Pacific Northwest tree octopus site. But it fits in so well with the topic of endangered species. So what we do with the students is we have them conduct some lateral research with it. So we have them select either the name of the guy who created the site, Lyle Zapato, the university he purported to attend, which was Kelvinic University, and his place of residence, which is the Republic of Cascadia. And we tell them to pick one, and they have to search it in World Book, and then in EBSCO, and then in Google. And then they start to realize, well, we're not getting anything in the databases, what's going on there. But when we Google, we're getting something. So this is good, and because, whenever you search something in Google, you're probably going to get some results, right? And then they start to open up the links, and they start to see that a lot of the links are from the website. And then you get the student who'll go into Wikipedia, and we explain to them that Wikipedia is great for lateral research, because if you went to the Wikipedia article about Lyle Zapato, you'd see that the site was a hoax. So it's a good introduction to lateral research for the 6th graders. And you can go to the next slide.
Yes, I am just going to say we've got about 20 slides of lessons, and we've got about 15 minutes.
Oh, boy.
So there's, I don't want to, I think we're not going to get to all the slides, and that's okay.
Fine.
But I just wanted to throw out there that just so we're a little aware of the time.
That's fine. And my slides are pretty self-explanatory. So if you just want to go through, I think right after me was Lisa Manganello's lesson ideas, and Lisa is just a dynamo. You might have seen her on the NBC segment about information literacy, and she was unable to attend tonight. It's her son's birthday, but she was so generous to share some lessons that she does at the high school level. So thank you, Steve.
Yeah,
I
wonderful.
also-
I know Lisa couldn't be with us, but she is going to be a very active member in the development of everything. And we wanted to make sure we had multiple perspectives for different varying grade levels. So these are Lisa's slides. And then we also had Betsy Quinn, who I tried to do a side chat earlier, but she did have to get off the meeting. She has a few as well on plagiarism, and she had one on just basic catalog searching at the younger level. Often we talk about it early on in kindergarten, 1st grade, about the difference between fiction and nonfiction, and that kind of exploration can be aimed at hers. But Lisa has some great resources here that she was able to share out.
There are a ton of great resources here. I love
Yeah.
it. We're so welcome and sharing around here. I love it. Before we go to Trisina, I want to hear about your slide, but before we do, I don't know if you're able to jump in for a second, but I don't quite get you shared a tip, and I'm very curious about this tip that you shared in the chat that says,
Yes.
looking at LibGuides. Can you walk through that?
Yes, it's like the best kept secret on LibGuides if you're a LibGuides user. So what happens is if you type in LibGuides and then the two, how you call them, those two dots. I'm missing a word. Yes. Yes. So link, LibGuides. Then basically you're asking the search engine to look for information in LibGuides. And then if you add plus and then the search term, it's going to look for specific terms within LibGuides only. So in this case, if you are doing link, LibGuides plus information literacy, you will receive every single possible publicly available LibGuide that has the word information literacy in it. I use this all the time. It saves me so much time. I'm creating right now some kind of a repository for another organization, and it saves so much time.
I think autocorrect might have corrected LibGuides to linguinis. That was what was throwing me off.
Yes. I'm
Gotcha.
sorry.
No,
I
that's
saw
okay.
that too.
I was just like, are we searching for linguini recipes? I'm okay with that, but I just,
Well,
right.
maybe it's dinner time, so maybe that's why.
Awesome. Thank you. So Trisina, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes. I wanted to just figure out what's going on there. If you want to walk us through your what you're sharing with us, that'd be great.
Sure, not at all. I just, I threw together a few different really great starting points for many of our school librarians. I teach 9 grade levels. I spin my wheels every day. I teach it on a continuum. I will be adding a lot more onto our slide share as the year goes on. But Techology has been a wonderful resource. It offers online assessment with our students. I'm not sure if anyone on the call uses it, but it discusses relevancy. It looks at news media coverage. It talks about authority and reasoning, verified news, and it lets students kind of look at media coverage through a different lens when they're watching the news, how to evaluate news, whether it's advertising or documentation or propaganda, opinion. So students are able to look at news from a different perspective. So that's a really great resource that I've been able to use, and I've been able to link it through Google Classroom. Discovering databases was one of our early on options, and I'm able to link, all my students have a digital card through the public library, so we're able to utilize those databases, and I usually start fourth grade on. So feel free to make a copy of this. I think I might have it in PDF format. I do have to give Anastasia credit. That infographic is kind of an infographic that I use for multiple lessons. So that format was, first given to me through her. Common Sense Media for Educators. I kind of hand select that material, and I also point out to students, if it's, we're looking at 1,000 students from, Minnesota, that territory might not reflect the way that we're looking at the data, but we can also kind of discern that. The Google self-driving bike, if you haven't seen this video, I can spoof every student on this. Is it not linking there? I think I try to make it that it goes automatically to it. You might have to refresh it. Anyway, it's a wonderful, and it actually is very difficult to discern because it actually has the authority of Google. It's timely, but by reading comments and realizing that this is actually a complete. So if you haven't seen this video, this is one of my first introductories to misinformation, and trying to find credibility in a product and discerning is this true? Should we reevaluate it? And then Eva, thank you for allowing me to share this. This is one of Eva's slide shares that she shared, over a year ago, but this was something that I thought was really helpful. But I'll be continuing to add, just like everyone else. So I would love to hear from members. I know we have quite a few. Betsy had shared hers underneath. I think I saw a few more added today. So thank you very much for everyone who has, I think Morris County, I see the school technology added in. I'm not sure if they're on the call, if they want to speak to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
I don't. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I just added a LibGuide on there. I teach like right off the LibGuides. I'm Sheila from Morris County VOTEC, and we do a lot of research on careers. So I put together a LibGuide for that, and just getting the really good sources for the students.
Steve, I think it's a couple more slides down if you want to pull up Sheila's. Yep, there it was.
Yeah, so if you just click on the LibGuide there, it has all these different sources that our school has. Some of them are paid, some of them aren't. And then I'll do ones for each different technical area. So some of them like Jobs Made Real, things like that. So it's kind of just a way to get the students in there to find the right resources for when they're doing their career searching. And they come in a lot. They have to do a lot of, they're always having to try to connect things back to their career cluster because it's a VOTEC.
That's a great
Awesome.
idea.
This is great to have this as a resource. Thank you, Sheila, for sharing.
Yeah.
And you reminded me, we're also working with Library Link NJ to have a niche academy connection where we will have free access to their resources, and they have quite a few on information literacy. And these will be able to be shared out from us as school librarians on our platform as teachers, that we will be able to borrow out some of their videos, some of their professional learning opportunities through that paid subscription and Library Link NJ. So I'm working with them on that. So more to come for each district to be able to have access to that.
Excuse me, I'm going to interrupt super quickly. Sheila, you are the type of person we're also looking for. We're also looking for vocational schools to include in our bus tours. So in our library tour. So we're looking for that. If you guys are interested, we'd love to definitely Northern Jersey too is another one.
Sure, we have like a really toy library though. It's very, very small.
That's okay. It's all good. Whatever you've got, even just your LibGuide there is just phenomenal. Thank you for sharing.
And
So Sheila, if you want to share your email to Andrea, that would be wonderful.
Sure.
Thank you. That would be, I mean, if you're up for it, no pressure whatsoever.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to apologize.
Sure.
I miscounted the number of slides. I looked at the wrong thing. So we have fewer slides than I thought, but that's okay. We've still got plenty of lessons here. So I don't know, Betsy, if you are interested in sharing or not. I'm not going to make you, obviously, but if you feel like it.
Betsy had to hop off the call. I was sending her a
Oh.
little side chat if she wanted to speak to it, but Betsy was really great because I think she has 2 slides above, and we did talk about it previously. She had a lesson plan and cataloging searching slides and adding in students' development of inquiry of fiction versus nonfiction. She was able to share out all that information, and she also had a slide on, avoiding plagiarism, which is a great slide share that she was able to give everyone a copy of, and you can utilize that in your classroom.
That's awesome. And I don't know if y'all caught that trick there, but if you don't know this trick, it's awesome. If you have a Google file that you want people to make a copy of, but you don't want them to touch your original, you can get the link to it, like up here where the link is for the whole slide deck, and change the stuff from edit. If you just change that to copy, when you make that the clickable link, when people click on it, it automatically forces them to say, would you like your own copy of this? And they click on it and they've got their own one. So it's great for sharing stuff with students, especially. But I'm probably preaching to the choir on that one. So yes, I think we really flew through a lot of these, but there are obviously lots and lots and lots of really awesome and useful lessons here. So I don't know if Beth or Christine, if you want to spend a little more time talking about either of yours, or we've also got Andrea sharing that she's been using Jennifer Lagarde's Developing Digital Detectives, has been a great tool with high school kids, which absolutely, that's a great book, great resource.
I wanted to go back to the one slide, Steve, that was early on, for everyone to see that we're actually trying as a unit to offer some types of resources. I'm looking through to find it. I think it was right above the QR code. 13 was, no, not 13. Was it 13? Where the QR code is, slide 14. So that, if you could click on that link so here is where we're kind of creating a wheelhouse of data, of information. So if anyone has anything there as well, more reputable library information resources, whether it's textbooks or online platforms, we are working on that. Do give yourself credit, but that's another area that we're looking at to kind of develop as we're creating our standards, with the state. If you have any type of great reference material, we would appreciate your input.
That's awesome. I didn't even know we had this. Very cool.
And I wanted to hear from Stephanie. Do you mind sharing out a little bit more? Oh, that was okay. Was that Sheila? So Stephanie's iPhone.
Oh yeah, sorry. I just can't turn on my my camera right now. But
That's okay.
It was the PBS media literacy. Again, I put my email in there. I can share a link if you just send me an email. But it was like 8 small, they called them micro credentials about, critically analyzing media. I even put some of my lessons in there that I created for it. So it was nice to have, just to kind of prove to people who might not know what we do. Oh yes, I know what I'm talking about. I know a little bit about media literacy, information literacy, and I have a cool little icon in my email to prove it.
That's awesome.
That's great. Thank you for that information.
There definitely are some great free online courses that are available through different sources. I hadn't realized that PBS had their own media literacy cert, but that's awesome. News Literacy Project, I think, offers one that's similar. And I'm trying to think, I feel like there's at least 1 or 2 more that are just out of my reach at the moment, but love this. Man, we've got so many awesome resources here. Thanks everybody for chipping in and sharing. Does anybody want to throw in any other thoughts, any other lessons, any other ideas before we go our merry way here?
Well, if you don't mind, I will jump in for a second. So first of all, thank you, all of you who put this presentation together. As I expected, it was really, really fantastic. I am so proud of the work that we have been doing and everything that we have done so far. So those who are on the call, please keep in touch. Please keep an eye for additional presentations, workshops, and webinars. We will be putting together additional events probably after the summer, but keep an eye for more announcements. There might be an opportunity for in-person professional development. School administrators claim that they would prefer for you to have a day off from work during the school year for professional development than trying to find a way to have you attend something during the summer. So we're working on it. We don't have a lot of details yet, but there is more to come. And seeing this presentation and how you all put this together, it makes me feel that we will not have a problem with finding quality instructors and presenters for our upcoming events. So thank you so much.
I also think maybe I wasn't as wrong as I thought, and I was just working off of a slide deck that was not refreshing. So let me just come over here. Beth R., I don't know if you want to, let me resume. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about your lesson.
Oh, well, somebody already mentioned the Tree Octopus website. I had to do a lesson that was recorded for the NBC News. And so with 4th grade, I introduced them to the Tree Octopus website and just said, well, I found this website. It looks pretty cool. Can you check it out for me? And I gave them a few questions to answer, and I wanted to see how long it was going to take before they got suspicious about what it was. And sure enough, eventually someone said, Mrs. Raff, octopuses living in trees? I'm not so sure about this. And then, as Andrea, I think, or someone else mentioned,
Sorry.
They started to Google, the website and the person's name on the website, and someone did go to Wikipedia and saw the word hoax, and then that created a very big discussion. And I think it's Read, Write, Think has information about, is this website a hoax? And I think there's a PDF. I just added that tonight from my Genesis. I'll go back and make it neater so you can access it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it was a great way to talk about being a healthy skeptic about what you read online.
There's also, I literally just randomly a couple of months back, came across a YouTube video that some students had made about tree octopus attack, and it's really funny. If you have a couple of minutes to check it out, it's fun. I threw it in the chat just because. And I think there's also, I thought I just saw a National Geographic tree octopus, National Geographic in quotation marks. Oh, maybe it's Cowboy Geographic. Sorry, they used the logo. Yeah. So
yeah,
there's some real fun.
I taught that lesson. Oh, sorry.
No, go.
I taught 4 times, so that's the problem when you teach, in elementary. I had to swear them to secrecy. And almost for them not to tell the other 4th graders. Otherwise, my week would have been.
I did the same thing with the Google Bike. We did have a question about the bus tour. Beth, did you want to talk about that? Because I know you mentioned earlier in the chat that you just been on it this past year. The bus tour, somebody asked what the bus tour was. I think it was Nicole.
I was just typing it to everybody. This is Andrea. The bus tour is run through Rutgers in conjunction with NJASL, and it is a opportunity for Rutgers grad students to go and explore different libraries, school libraries across New Jersey. It tends to be mostly central Jersey, but now we're looking to expand that to not only include different areas of New Jersey, but also to include public libraries and academic libraries and VOTEC libraries, special libraries. So we want to include as many people as we can to give that experience to everybody. And then also we're going to open it up to administrators and curriculum writers, just to make sure that everybody is able to see what's going on in the library world, and what amazing things that we do in our own little ways to spread information literacy and offer safe spaces and welcome homes and all of that good stuff that we amazing librarians do. So
It is an awesome experience. I got to go as a student,
Oh.
and this past year I got to host, and it was awesome both times. So if you're willing to have some people come and visit, it's really a wonderful experience.
hands down. I mean, it was absolutely as much as I loved the Rutgers graduate program, it was the highlight of my program because I got to experience 2 schools at each level. And it was just a phenomenal experience because I really didn't know what it was like to be in a school library. I came from a completely different world prior to the library world. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I had volunteered in a school library, but I never got to experience working there personally. I ran a volunteer program in the school library, but I just didn't know really a lot. So, and it was just a wonderful experience to see other perspectives and other people's ideas. And this year, yes, I also hosted as well. And that was wonderful. And I got myself a student teacher out of the deal too, which was even one more wonderful experience. So it's a great time, just collaboration. And what librarians do best is we talk to each other, we learn from each other, we grow from each other, and we share. It's just a wonderful time. I enjoy it very much. So.
Where I want to be respectful of everybody's time. We are at an hour since we started. I want to just pause for 1 second and say, Stephanie, you've got 2 lessons that are on here. Do you want to share anything about them with us? I don't want to force you to, but if you feel like it.
Yeah, I won't take too long, but pretty much I shared a few lessons here. There are 4 high school students. A lot of it is collaborating with the social studies teacher. But it's just all of them are about the importance of looking at sources, kind of thinking about them critically, definitely a need for our students in our school. And in a way that you're not telling them what to think or what is reliable, and they're really determining it themselves.
That's so important and so excellent. And I love also that the collaboration piece is so important when we're able to work with our colleagues and so sort of say, it's not just on us, it's on all of us together working together. We're bringing a particular expertise to your class to help you further your students' education. Well, also love your Canvas slides here. Very nice. All right. I think that is we're going to pull the plug at this point. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate all of you who came, and I really, really appreciate everybody who shared. You've all got access to these slides. There hopefully will be a recording of this meeting available on the NJASL PD YouTube channel at some point in the future. It's not going to be today, but sometime soon. And when that happens, I'll be sure to send everybody a link for it. And also keep your eyes open for a link coming from NJASL PD for your PD certificate form to fill out. So that's it. Thank you all so much. Have a great night. And hopefully we'll see you at our next event, which is happening on the 8th of May. We're doing, I forget what we're doing. Oh, is 8th of May. Wait a minute. Sorry. I think that's our midsummer night. No, I think we're doing that in summer reading idea. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. May 8th at 6. It's a Monday, summer reading idea exchange. So if you want to come talk about what your students or your schools do for summer reading programs or projects, we're going to come and share some ideas, and maybe you'll get something new to do this year or for next year. So you can, the signups for that are going to be at bit.ly. I should throw it in the chat instead of trying to spell it and make everybody do it. That's May change. Sorry, I should have been more prepared for that, and I was not, but that should do the trick, hopefully. Let's see if that actually works right. I'm going to test it super fast. Perfect. Okay.
Thank you, Steve, so much for everything as well. And happy National Library Week. Thanks for pointing that out, Andrea.
Happy National Library Week. Yay. All right, everybody, take care. Have a good night.
Fantastic. Good night.
Take care. Bye-bye.
I'm going to stop the share and we're going to stop the recording.